Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 2. We're going to implement theory and practice. We're going to do it this week. So if you have your textbooks, that's cool. Let me show you the textbook that you'll need. I'm going to share my screen for this. So you're going to need this textbook here, 45 Techniques Every Counselor Should Know. So if you don't have it, you need to get it. We're going to use this throughout the semester. All right, and today, this week, we are covering techniques based on solution focused. So I'm asking you to go through 1 through 4 to read chapters for your required reading, chapters 1 through 4. This won't take long. These are pretty succinct. They talk about the techniques. Like I said, this is a supervised experience, so you're going to have experience implementing these techniques. So when you start your practicum, hey, I do have a little bit of experience in implementing techniques and implementing theory. So let's go ahead and jump into the PowerPoint that I created for folks, or not really a PowerPoint, it's just more of a lecture outline. So I just want to talk to you briefly about combining practice and theory, because this is our first week to actually do this. I don't want to lose track of what you all have learned, and especially what you did in strategies and techniques. We're going to talk a little bit about some research really supporting Carl Rogers and client-centered, the humanistic approach. And we're going to talk about solution-focused techniques. Just briefly, you're going to read those in your book. If you don't have your book, reach out, let me know, so I can at least get you some information somehow. And we'll talk about the discussion board. So I do have a couple of articles posted. I would require that you read the Wampold article this week because it parlays, it goes hand in hand with what you are going to start to do. This article right here by Wampold talks about common factors. And when I'm talking about common factors, some of you heard me talk about this before. There are certain things that, looking at all of the techniques, looking at all the different theories, behaviorism, cognitive behavior, Adlerian, Jungian, psychodynamic, existentialism, Gestalt, all the different approaches. So they tried to find out which one of those is most effective. You know, what's the creme de la creme? What is the one that we all should try to learn? And what researchers found was that there really isn't one that's necessarily heads and tails above another. What they did find was that if you look across all of those models, there are common factors inside each one that appear to really drive the change in clients, that lead to people getting better. And so this article by Wampold really helps identify what those common factors are. This isn't the long extended research. This is a brief update to what this person spent most of their lives, along with other researchers, trying to discern. I mean, going back to the 30s all the way up to the present, trying to find, okay, which one of these is best? That's a very noble pursuit. It's something that I don't have the time nor the energy to do. So I'm glad some folks are doing this. But this is important research, because really at the end of the day, what Wampold found was that most of the change can be attributable to the relationship between you and your client. And so even though we're going to jump into now in our class learning how to apply theory, it's fundamentally important that as we go through each one of these, the rest of our time, the other 14 weeks of this class, it is fundamentally important that you keep these words in mind. You have to have a trusting, genuine, warm relationship with your client if they're going to improve. Hands down, no questions. That is absolutely necessary. So if you turn into an adversary, if you turn into somebody that they can't trust, it might be time to refer. It might be time to consider trying to make amends with the client, trying to change what you're doing. Because if you try to apply these theories, these actual approaches, it might be effective. Because that's the common factor. you have to have a good bond with your client. You have to have a trusting, therapeutic, collaborative relationship. So you're welcome to read through that article. Let's jump right in. Let's jump right into SFT. So SFT, Solution Focused. I'm not going to go into the theory. Y'all should have known about Insoo Kim Berg and Steve DeShazer by this point. You're welcome to, go back and read. That'll be something for tests, not necessarily for practice. Practice, you need to know their techniques. To be very open, there aren't that many. Solution Focus is a very brief therapy. It's something that works on solutions to problems. Concrete problem, concrete solution. One of the strengths of this technique is it's not about you finding the problem for the client. It's about the client defining it for themselves and you collaborating with them to try to find their solution, a solution that they come up with that works for them. In other words, you're not there to solve the problems. You're there as a collaborator to help that person and ask the right questions to help that person discover their own solutions to their own problems. That makes it a postmodern approach because you're not trying to come and give them your values. You're taking their values and what they see as important and in a way holding it up as a mirror, but also helping them recognize strengths in ways that they can overcome their problems. So these are the techniques. These are the ones. There are scaling questions. Open-ended questions are really important. Open-ended prompting. And so some of you probably heard me talk about this ad nauseum. And some of you have had me know that I lean heavily on the scaling. That's also a technique used in MI. You'll see some similarities between SFT and MI. Yeah, I gave an example here. There are also other examples in your textbook. Exceptions to the problem. That's another, if somebody is having an enduring, problem that's pretty decapacitating, that's really causing a lot of dysfunction. When are times when you're not experiencing that dysfunction? What is going on? Tell me about the exceptions to the rule. Problem-free talk. You're welcome to look that up in your textbook. The miracle question is really the hallmark of SFT. When I have students embrace SFT, which I've had many students really embrace SFT, they rely on this miracle question because it helps the client kind of imagine what life is without the problem, and also the solution stepping backward from, okay, when the problem's completely over, how do you know it's completely over? What has happened that has completely removed it? And so that helps them kind of retrace and make a map, a plan for eliminating problems. So that's it. I mean, SFT is brief. There's not a whole lot to it. You look for solutions to problems. I'm not going to overcomplicate I'm not going to overcomplicate the thing. Flagging the minefield reminds me a lot of relapse prevention and addictions counseling. So you're welcome to read through that. That's not required, but you're welcome to. This discussion board is for you. It's for your own development. It's not necessarily for a grade. So you're like, well, why do I want to do it? Well, you probably want to do it so you can start practicing your skills, because you're going to be required to do these skills. And so if you don't want to abide by the 300 word, minimum and all that, that's it's basically here for you to start reflecting on using this. So I'm going to offer these throughout the semester, although you're not getting a grade. Your grade is going to be a lot of your demonstration in class. You're definitely gonna get on my good side, because you're gonna see that, hey, they care. So again, for this discussion board, you don't necessarily have to go to the 300 word limit or minimum, but yeah, it would be good to see you trying. So look through the discussion, look through the activity, and anyway, that's this week. Take care. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will see you online. Take care.